Debbie Sardone, who's a cleaning expert. Debbie, welcome to the program.
Welcome.
Hey, thank you.
You can follow more about Debbie at DebbieSardone.com, and same on Twitter. So, I'm looking at these studies on the epidemiology of cruise ship outbreaks of acute gastroenteritis. And the one thing, Leanne, I'm seeing is that the more the people, the longer on the cruise ship, the higher the incidence. Surprise, surprise.
Of course.
There also is higher incidence in certain parts of the world, exactly where you think this might be a higher thing, where oral fecal contamination is more of an issue in those societies. The question is, though, Debbie, is once an outbreak occurs, what do they do? How do they clean the ship? Do you know?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's almost too late at that point, right? So obviously we need to do as much as we possibly can to prevent all of this illness and germs being spread. Studies have shown that over 39% of the people traveling are sick. And people are traveling on airplanes and buses and subways and cruise ships that are sick. So the most important thing you can do as an individual, and you know this as a doctor, is boost your immune system before you get around all those germs.
Well, to be fair, that's not true, because some of these illnesses, if you come in contact with them, you are going to get them, period. That's just the way this works.
Exactly.
That you'll survive it better if you're in good shape, but you will not prevent it. The real prevention is wash your hands, don't let your hands go to your face, and don't drink the water on a ship.
Right. Make sure you're regularly washing your hands, just the old-fashioned soap and water, which not enough people take seriously, and not touching your face and hands, because like you said, you are going to encounter those germs.
Yeah.
And the staff do not disinfect properly between guests. They tend to go in, pick up, tidy up, wipe down, but they don't disinfect surfaces.
Right.
And, we need to wash our hands more. We need to touch our nose and eyes and faces less when we can't get to our lavatories to wash our hands. And we need to clean our own environment when we get onto that cruise ship.
Well, I'm with you on this. In fact, airplane is another environment that people need to be aware of. That you and I talked about this, right? You have to bring Clorox, because traditional antibacterials will treat the bacteria, but not the viruses. You need the chlorine to deal with the viruses. So my wife has this compulsion habit of she puts Clorox soaks, these towels, in plastic bags and pulls them out as we get on the plane. And it's a full wipe down experience.
Oh, my God. And I bet it smells.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody's probably going, wow, she's smart.
Oh, no, people are literally like can I
use that after you're done?
When you're done, if there's any left, we'll happily use it.
Yeah. People don't mind that so much anymore. And when they see you pull out the little Clorox sanitizing wipe, they actually appreciate it. I've literally been on planes where a desperate mom has changed a baby diaper on the tray table.
Oh, sure.
And so for your wife to grab that Clorox wipe and wipe down the tray table, wipe down the armrest just a little bit, it is that little extra layer of protection that if we just add that in those tight environments where everybody's sick and coughing and the airflow is, it's tight, that little extra precaution goes a long way.
We were talking about how that on these cruise ships, some of the staff could be essentially a typhoid Mary.
Right.
They could be
because this cruise ship. This was the second time in a couple weeks that everyone got sick on the same ship.
So they could be somebody who's secreting virus, but is essentially a carrier, but is not not sick with the virus. And that's not an uncommon way that these illnesses are spread around.
Well, one of the problems when people are cleaning is they don't realize that when they use an antibacterial cleaning product, they don't leave it to set on the surface when they're doing a deep clean, like on a cruise ship, long enough to kill the strongest bacteria. So sometimes they say you can actually see a super germ emerge because they wipe the cleaning product off too quickly. They haven't allowed it to dwell long enough to kill the strongest germs. So what happens is the weak germs get killed, the strongest germs survive because they didn't let the product dwell. And so when people are on ships cleaning, if they'll just allow the antibacterial cleaning products to sit at the recommended time on the bottle, they're much more likely to kill those germs.
So, see, I didn't even realize that.
Well, very much like antibiotics, right? Create resistance.
Right.
You can do the same thing with the surface treatment.
Right. So,
Fantastic.
Antibacterial cleaning products are phenomenal when used properly, and they actually encourage the supergerm when used incorrectly.
Interesting. Well, Debbie, is there anything that's sort of hitting your website these days that beyond the cruise ship that we should be aware of?
Well, just some of those little things that people don't think about, especially like on a plane, and I'm sure this applies in a cruise ship, is, make sure you're opening up the air vents just to get the air circulating around you. And, they do say get on the plane last so that all these coughing, sneezing people aren't filing by you
it's
if you
hard.
can. And I think probably this applies if you do have a little bit of a weakened immune system, right, and you're a little more sensitive to that illness. But just be extra diligent. Use those sanitizing wipes when you can't wash your hands and you can't get to real water. Use those little hand sanitizers, and like your wife does, use those sanitizing sheets to wipe down the surfaces around you, the seat belt.
Everything, the screen, everything. If it's a touch screen, the thing that use control the volume, everything you touch, everything,
yes.
Just and the back of
the
remote
back, control,
the seat back, where your head goes, because that's getting on your hair, and then you touch your hair.
Oh God!
And I'm
looking. That's material, even that.
No, because. Well, it's interesting.
If it's material, but if you're sitting in one that's leather, yes, you can kind of.
These days, kind of a plastic leather kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this graph of the incidence of acute gastroenteritis in passengers. Boy, if you're above 2,000 passengers and you're on more than about 7 to 10 days, your risk really gets to be like 1 out of 5. Oh, so it's for real. Yeah. So you got to pay attention.
Yeah.
I've got somebody worked on a cruise ship. I'll get to him after the break. Debbie, we appreciate you spending time with us.
Thank you, Debbie.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You got it. Debbie Sardone, SARDONE.com, and at Debbie Sardone on Twitter, DEBBIE.